Hey everybody, my name is Buzz. They call me Wannabe. Have you ever known something in your heart but not known it in your head just yet? We're going to try something real quick and we're going to see if you can tell the difference between different amp simulations. We're going to just do a fairly dry in and reamp and see if you can pick out which amp is which. Going to be a quick video. So let's just throw something down in E minor. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take that stupid riff, which you're going to be really sick of in about 1 minute, and we're going to run it, and we're going to compare it with 4 different amps, and we're going to see who can find which amp is which. And these are, let's say, digital captures of an Engel Powerball, a Big Bad Diesel, a Marshall JCM 900, and a Victory V30. So we're going to run that thing 4 times. Boop. See if you can choose which one is which. Okay, did you get them right? Did you get them right? Did you figure out which one's which? Could you figure out which one was the Powerball and which one was the Diesel? I'm sure you probably figured out the V30 versus the JCM 900. And actually, this is all crap because we didn't run it through any different amp. All we did is change one parameter of the EQ. That's all we did. Is one parameter of the EQ. So if you went, wow, that sounds like a Diesel. Oh, that sounds like the Marshall. Oh, that sounds like the Victory. Then we're kind of making the point I was thinking all along. There is way more to the sound you want to get to proper EQing of the sound than there is chasing all the money on spending all this for all these different amps and all these different simulations and all these different IRs and all this kind of stuff. Now it's good to go out and get a good quality, an amp sim. It's good to go out and get good quality equipment. But when you start chasing all of these different sounds, you're gonna find out that, like I was watching a thing with Joe Bonamassa the other day, and he says maybe the most important thing a guitarist can do is sit down with a 31 band EQ and play along with whatever their take that they just made, and just sit there and max it out at plus 30 and drop it to minus 30 and just sit there on all of these different parameters, because all I did is change one parameter of the EQ and I left it all on my Mezza Barba, and that's the difference in sound. You add a little highs over here and it sounds like this. You add a little lows over here, you scoop the mids out a little bit. That's all I did. Maybe we need to go back and get a really good EQ, something that's not a 3-band, something that we can actually do some serious damage with. And remember, cut all your lows below about 125, certainly below 100. You don't want those in your guitar signal. They will ruin your recording. And anything, do your high cut, depending on how you want it to sound. If you want to be Vito Bratta, start cutting it at 4,000. If you want to be Andy Timmons and stuff, yes, you're definitely going to start serious cuts around 4,000. If you want to be the 80s, you want to push it into the 5,500, 5,800 before you do a cut. But don't let those super highs in. You don't want them in your recording. But play around with an EQ. Play around with this stuff and see if you can get a sound that you love, that really works for your application, where you don't have to sound like this guy or this girl or this band or this simulation. You can actually have your own sound. Now, a couple of things you're going to see when you start doing that. As you add highs, you're going to get more perceived distortion. You can actually take your gain down on your amp and your pedals if you're going to add some highs, especially if you add them post-production or post, your pedals. So if you're going to add them later in the signal chain, you're going to find out that's going to give you a lot more perceived distortion. If you start taking those highs down, you're going to get a lot less bite out of that distortion, and you may want to pick up your gain a little bit. So start playing with these things, but sit down with a good EQ and go like this. You don't have to sound like everybody else. You don't have to sound identical. The easiest way to get your own sound is to start EQing, and don't be afraid to boost something way up or cut something way down. You can get a unique sound with the same amp that everybody else has and the same sim that everybody else has, just by cutting those EQs out. Hey, this is Buzz Miller, Wannabe Studios, and again, this was played with the most boring guitar I have on my walls. Super distortion in the back, big heavy maple body, but it's nothing. It's not some big high gain pickup. It's not some crazy, high dollar pickup. This is the same pickup that everybody was playing in the 70s and 80s and was on Tom Schultz's Boston albums and stuff. So yeah, I'm not using anything crazy, just basic stuff. Anything that you can do at home. Hey, thanks for watching. Keep on rocking.